So I really related to how quickly you're high, and then the spiral down.
I did think it was weird that people weren't noticing these big luxury items missing. Like,
that's how rich they are.
I know, but if someone took my Labubu, I would notice. Like, you know, like I just that it's wild to me that you would have like such excess wealth that you just wouldn't know that things were missing. I don't know. That was crazy to me. But I also don't have like glass shelves with trophies and rings and like, you know, I don't have anything like that. I have Lego sets. So no one's trying to steal my Legos. Welcome to the Sober Curator podcast, where sobriety isn't just a lifestyle choice, it's the ultimate life hack. I'm Alysse Bryson, your fearless guide to a world where hangovers are canceled, fun is mandatory, and we still know how to shut down a dance floor, just with better shoes.
And I'm Tamar Routly, aka T-Bouge, your co-pilot, chaos coordinator, and the one who keeps Alysse from turning this podcast into a full-blown reality show. Buckle up, sober party people.
From lifestyle and travel to pop culture and zero-proof cocktails, we're serving up the stories, trends, and guests that prove sobriety isn't just about what you're missing. It's about finally remembering where you left your keys. Let's get the party started. Welcome back to the Sober Curator podcast. I'm your host, Alysse Bryson, and today we are serving up a pop culture review with a sober twist. Around here, we believe in living loud and proud without booze, because getting sober matters, but staying sober matters more. At least that's what we think. And apparently about half of America thinks that too, because what's that trend stat that's going around right now? Only 54% of Americans still say they drink. Mm-hmm. The tides are turning, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today, we're here to talk about Your Friends and Neighbors. It was this show on Apple that came out a few months ago with John Handsome Ham. And it was a mix of comedy, chaos, suburban secrets. So today we're going to unpack the drama, the laughs, and yes, those cringe-worthy moments that feel, in some cases, just a little too familiar. So grab your favorite mocktail, settle in, and let's see if this one deserves a binge or a hard pass. Before we jump into the conversation, I'd like each of the contributors that are to chime in and introduce themselves. Tamar, you're my sidekick. I'm going to start with you.
Hey, everyone. Good to be here. This was a phenomenal show, so I really cannot wait to get into it. Thanks, Lane, for suggesting it. Because, yeah, I cannot wait for another season of this.
Dr. Sarah?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Sarah Michaud. I feel same. Very excited about this show and doing a deep dive.
And Megan Swan.
Hi, I'm all things wellness on the site and looking forward to, dropping my 2 cents with this.
I bet you have more than 2 cents. And Sarah, I just turned 10. You're sober.
Hi, I'm Sarah Alaimo. Super excited to be here to chat about this show that I just could not get enough of. I guess I have some addictive tendencies because I'm pretty sure I binge watched this one like all the other things.
And Lane Kennedy. Good to see you, my friend.
Thanks. My name is Lane Kennedy, and I am here. So glad to be here with everyone and to talk about this show. When it dropped, I was like, this was a pure addiction at its finest. So really happy to be able to talk about it and see it through the lens of DNA, because I'm a DNA functional nutritionist.
Love that. And self-professed binger, Carolyn, just told us before we started recording that she pulled an all-nighter to watch this one, almost.
That's right. Yes, I'm Carolyn, and I loved this show and had to get it all finished and do my homework. So I was up all night watching it, but it was definitely worth it.
We do have tough homework here at the Sober Curator. It's our job. It's our job to serve our community by watching the shows and the movies and listening to the podcast and reading the books to tell you what is and isn't worth your time. And I'm pretty sure, looking at the size of this group, we don't normally get this many people turning out for a TV series review. So I think that means we're going to be recommending it. But who would like to start?
All right. We can start right off with Coop, right? Let's talk about the dynamics of Coop. Like, first, he still looks good. John Hamm still looks good.
Looks so good.
I'm really happy about that. And his character, he plays it so well. He owned that character. He lights up the stage, just like always. But if we go into like his untangling, right? He's let go from that high position. And then he's in a place of what's he going to do to afford the life that he has? What do you do when you're in that position and nobody will touch you because nobody can, because of all the legal implications that he's got in place? So watching him begin the bad decisions was just fascinating to me.
It really was. It really was. And I found his role as the father also really interesting, on how he was interacting with his kids, having moved out of his house into a rental. I don't know. All of it was, I'm a John Hamm fan though. Like I don't know that I've ever seen him in something I didn't like. I don't think so. But my love started with Mad Men, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. He was great. And there was so much addiction in it, addiction. There was the mental health aspect with his sister, and there was there was self-medicating for sure, right? Hinted around the series, but addiction to wealth and status, addiction to toxic relationships, addiction to control and power, and their addiction to secrets and lies.
Yeah, I think that's right there. Tamar, right? Like addiction, we think of it as like alcohol or drugs.
Yeah.
But in this show, we see a very different perspective. That's why it was so beautiful to watch. Because they took it into the nitty-gritty of how the thinking goes way out there. Sarah, Dr. Sarah.
Yeah.
Come on now.
No, I mean, yeah, so many pieces to this. I mean, I thought about so many things, but the whole idea of just him discovering the vacuousness of his life, basically, and all these external sources to feel okay. And we all know what that's like. But whether it's power or status or money or cars or whatever, homes, and then how when he loses his job, that just total loss of identity. And the other thing I think a lot about, and I don't know what you guys think about this. Of course, I'm looking at it from a psychological perspective. And I think about, I know I talk a lot about repressed anger, but I think about that scene when he first stole the money and the watch. And he had this scene where he got kind of humiliated at this party, and he looks over at his wife who's with the other guy. Mm-hmm. And, I think about his need to just escape his feelings, which we could talk about his grief also, but that anger and feeling like he's nothing and less than, and then he needs to get back his power and control by, stealing. But I mean, that was just my first take. And his wife also, that's a whole other piece we could discuss, is her anger. I mean, both of them had tons of anger. She ends up like losing it at her boss and punching her boss out and, keying that vehicle. And they both just had so many repressed feelings. And again, lots of other stuff to talk about, but that piece I really thought a lot about.
And wasn't she like a school therapist or
she was a therapist?
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Yeah, I definitely remember her keying the car.
Yeah.
For kind of no reason. Like, she's just mad. She just needed an outlet. She's having a bad day.
I think she had a lot of feelings about her present husband, because there were ongoing scenes where she was not being seen or gotten by this guy. And it was all kind of his agenda and wanting to please her, but he never really saw her. And so there was that ongoing theme throughout their relationship where I just felt like, oh my God, she's just not connecting with this guy. And yet she's married to him. So that was another piece.
There is such a level of dissatisfaction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought it was really interesting when they show in the very beginning, like what the first 5 minutes of the show, they're showing their relationship and how they went to college. And I think they said something like, this was the happiest we ever were, was living in that 1-bedroom apartment. And then as soon as they got more and more and more,
Yes.
it just became less and less satisfied. And then you kind of see that again when they kind of like, spoiler, but they kind of like connect again later and they're back where they met. And, you know, you see them connecting and yeah, they do have that connection, but the more stuff that they had, the less they connected. And so that was very interesting.
Well, and that seems to be a common theme with a lot of the like, if not most of the couples in the storyline is they had so much stuff, but they were so unhappy.
Ugh.
And, you know, like even the couple that's remodeling and doing things like the disaster after disaster, it's like, yeah, this happens when we want more and more and more, and we're not really filling our cups.
I just love how they did a really great job of the spectrum of like late stage capitalism. So you have like the extreme wealth and that being so empty, yet, you know, you build up all of these ideas of what that means and the success, et cetera. But really to get to that kind of level of wealth where like they're not even noticing, you know,
Right.
$100,000 watches being stolen is a different kind of robbery, right? And then he like goes to the opposite extreme where, you know, it's also, he's making bad decisions, but he's clearly enjoying it in the process in different points where he's, you know, maybe he's getting back at a friend or an acquaintance in the neighborhood. And it's just the beautiful slidey slope that you're riding the whole time. And he makes it so relatable. And then me personally, like I really related to the loss of major job, meaning loss of identity. And I think this is like a huge issue in society right now, as a mom raising boys, like trying to give them other, you know, how are we defining success? You're only getting to this apex and that defines everything about you. Well, what happens when the carpet gets pulled out and you have nothing? And, you know, in my personal story with my dad, it didn't go well. So I really related to how quickly you're high, and then the spiral down.
I did think it was weird that people weren't noticing these big luxury items missing. Like
That's how rich they are.
I know, but if someone took my Labubu, I would notice. Like, you know, like I just that it's wild to me that you would have like such excess wealth that you just wouldn't know that things were missing. I don't know. That was crazy to me. But I also don't have like glass shelves with trophies and rings and like, you know, I don't have anything like that. I have Lego sets. So no one's trying to steal my Legos. I thought it was interesting how incestuous the group was, right? She cheated on him with one of the friends and she felt very justified in it because he was like an absent husband because he was married to the job, right?
That didn't surprise me at all.
Well, no, that's very
prediction.
Yeah.
Right?
It checks that stereotypical, you know, box. And then he's sleeping with one of the gals who's married to the guy that she doesn't really like him, but nobody knows. Like they're doing that on the DL. And and then there was the one guy that worked for John Hamm. So when John Hamm loses money, now he's losing money. And he was the one whose wife is making him build, you know, and build and build and build and build. Like they're all hunting for something they're never going to find in any of those things.
They're following that next dopamine hit. And it's one of the things, like when I talk to somebody who does not maybe have a substance use related issue, but anytime I talk about my sobriety or the things that I go through or the things I challenge myself on, they can always find something in their life that they're like, oh, I never thought about it this way. I do this with eating. I do this with shopping. I do this with sex. Like all of us. And I think that's one of the cool things about the Sober Curator is it's not just about sobriety, right? It's about living this really amazing life. and creating this great lifestyle for yourself. But it just like, it's so much more than substances. And here, this is like such a good example of all the areas that it comes in. And I think they do a really good job in the show. I mean, especially when we look for it, I think, we look for all those little things where we can completely relate to. So it might be a little easier to find, but man, there's a ton of it. And they did a really great job on that. And the storyline, right? The building of the characters and how they all intertwine and stuff. I think that was really well done.
Mm-hmm. Well, can we talk about I think it's just one party night that they really do go all in on all the substance and the alcohol and then like basically grown men acting like frat boys. And then the symbolism of the golden toilet. I don't know, like that whole party scene and the fight. It was kind of wild.
I thought it was interesting because I wasn't thinking of it from the point of view of consumption being an addiction, but that is so true. So when I first started watching, I was like, there's not a lot of like substance use, but then you start to see it. And then you kind of see the overarching thread of like every single time something bad happened, it started with them drinking or the drugs or something. And it seemed like that kind of became like the catalyst for like the next bad thing, every time that the drugs or alcohol was involved, And I'm sure we've all had experiences with that.
So can I chime in about like what's driving it, right? Because that's my jam. And that's why we need to talk about this, because I think this is the missing link that a lot of alcoholics don't get, or a lot of people in recovery don't get. See, I just got passionate, Tamar. You see that? Did you see that happen?
Yeah, coming alive. Right up. Yeah.
Because he's being driven. We are driven by a gene, a SNP, a single nucleotide polymorphism called the dopamine receptor, which Tamar just mentioned. We're seeking that, right? But with him, he has that DRD2 that has completely he's beyond because he's probably coupled with another gene. We call it the comp gene, which actually clears any kind of stress that you have. So he can be in that place of like super high intense stress, like when he's opening the glass window, the shelf, and what's her face is behind him and catches him. Do you remember that, right? That moment when he's going to take the trophy or something, I think it was. And he knows that she's there, and he just is so calm and so cool and just breathes right to it, right? So he actually is clearing that adrenaline that's occurring in real time, that rush, and then he's able to manage himself a little bit better, which I can't imagine doing that. I would be fumbling. Like I'm not genetically made that way, right? Like everybody's made so differently, but to see him kind of run right through that and on to the next, I was like, that is genetic driven. That's how I see it in so many people, of just being like, I have to get more. I have to do more. It has to be bigger. Like each thing was like the art. Come on. That was insane. Like who goes to the trouble? Well, somebody who's broken genetically.
One who needs to go to absolute end to adrenaline.
Right. Needs to go all the way to the edge, because that's where there's a sense of relief. So beautifully portrayed.
Yeah, I mean, the adrenaline addiction, you're talking about the genes, absolutely, but that whole need for that feeling. My sweetheart was a skier, one of those, crazy skiers. I can't remember the name of it right now. And that was his hit. And man, at the cost of injury after injury after injury, because he describes it like the best high in the world.
Yes.
And the more dangerous the mountain, the better. And how addicting that hit can be. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And we think, again, this is where it goes back to, it's like we think, oh, we're just drinking alcohol because we crave it. It's like, no, we are genetically driven to put it into our bodies. Like this is like such a big missing piece, I think, that alcoholics, if we knew that we were being driven, wouldn't we start to take some action to kind of support it differently, to do things differently, to find out like, oh, if I know that I'm driven to drink or I'm driven to go to the edge, maybe I don't want to be stealing something. Maybe I take up rock climbing and go start going on the face of like something else, getting on fast motorcycles or, jumping out of airplanes where you're still getting that rush, but you're not putting yourself in that legal implications.
But he still has that pride and ego that has to be, taken care of. He's used to that. He's lived, with his ego, and he has built this life. So he has the pride. I think that just has taken over his decision making. I mean, there were so many times where I was just thinking, oh, stop, get over yourself. Just tell someone the truth. I was in that adrenaline with him the whole time. I could feel it. I could understand it. My goodness.
How do you guys feel like the show, where do you feel like the show sits in today's landscape of shows? Like, did it feel fresh? Did it feel like a re-rinse? It held all of our attention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I think it did a really good job of normalizing that world, like, and that level of wealth. Like, it took it a little bit too extreme, but I don't think, like, a lot of the craziness is pretty standard and standard. Just easier to cover up, whether it's legal issues that arise or messiness or what have you. Yeah. So, I thought him going to the extreme of just almost like, creating like a new identity. He kind of backs off it at some point, but in the beginning, it's like, okay, now I got this new, solve the identity problem. We're just going to go the opposite spectrum.
I felt like it was it was kind of between Big Little Lies and Succession, because actually Succession would be another series that would be great to review because it has the neighborhood drama. It's very cutthroat. Right? It's not really about alcohol and drugs, but it is really about different forms of addiction, status, secrets, right? That keep popping up in that thread. So I thought I like those kind of shows because it just keeps you wanting to watch the next episode. So I felt like it had a very similar vibe to those two. And neither one of them really. I don't know what Succession is on right now, but I think Big Little Lies only had 2 seasons, but you couldn't wait to watch the next one. So I really hope that they continue with this one because it has a similar
that's what I was just going to bring up. Like, okay, so he didn't do what we thought he was going to do, right? So like he had the out. He chose the different path.
Well, I think the show and the characters and the story are really fitting in what we're seeing in the news, the people that we see in the news, the lives that they lead. So it's almost giving us like an additional glimpse into those people's lives. This could be like, there's that whole HR CEO drama in Boston. That could be those people's neighbors.
Yeah. I think a lot about just the detachment from yourself. Like these people are all obviously using like power and money and success and all that stuff. But I just think about all of us. Human beings. A lot of times someone gets sober and then picks up all kinds of other things. Mm-hmm. And how now it's just feeling like, I don't know, with social media and all this stuff, we're getting more and more detached from ourselves. And that to me was the theme throughout the show. It's like they're all trying to connect in some way, but nobody's really telling the truth or sharing what's happening. And so they're just all acting out in these strange ways rather than just having an honest, real conversation with somebody. Mm-hmm. And I was just listening to this podcast today by, this Harvard person who wrote a book on having a conversation. And she was saying that people these days are literally, because of, being online, that literally just having conversations, people are needing to learn to do again, which is mind-boggling. Yeah. So whatever way anybody is detaching from themselves, we've all done it to a certain degree, I know, but that was the tragic part of the story for me, how disconnected they all were from what they really wanted inside. I don't know. That was my takeaway.
I love that you just brought up the conversation part, Dr. Sarah. It's like there's a disconnection of humanity happening right now. We're watching it in real time. We're experiencing it in real time. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I really appreciated about the show is John's character, him and his sister.
Yes.
They, again, really the writing, the acting, the portrayal of that relationship, the connection they had, the empathy, like the care, her emotional upheaval of like having sex with her ex, and like just, she did such a great job of that. Yes. And watching the mental health of that character was like, amen.
Right.
Like, this is what we need to see. This is what, like, I don't know, that it just opened my heart up a little more for that relationship.
Especially after seeing really cool their parents and seeing what they grew up with.
Yeah.
Right.
The father was like, of course, I thought, what a flaming codependent, because the mother's like the angry parent who's like controlling him, and he keeps like being in La La Land and offering tea. Remember? I mean, it's just like, oh my God. Anyways, yeah.
Just one thing with the conversation, like I do think it's quite, accurate that in certain levels of society, you're not having deep conversations unless there's alcohol involved. Like that's the test of time. And this show shows you like that is happening, but then also like all these other things are unraveling, and it's publicly messy, and there doesn't it could be at a brunch. It doesn't necessarily be only messy at the end after midnight.
Good point.
What I wanted to, it's kind of a statement and a question, is that I find with these types of TV shows, we are obviously drawn to watching them, and we can binge watch them. We get very addicted to them. So I think about like the dopamine hit that I'm getting from just watching these TV shows. And when I think about this show specifically, there is the rush. I mean, I used to steal garden ornaments, so maybe that's where the dopamine hit of, the theft came in. I was like, ooh, right? There's part of you that is drawn to the appeal of maybe what that would be like, even though I know logically and morally, no, bad, Tamar, don't get into stealing again. But even like, you see how miserable. No. I buy my own now. But like you see, the parties they have and how extravagant it gets and the outfits they have, and just, it brings you. And I think I personally will binge shows because I want to escape. Like as the viewers, we want to escape, and we put ourselves in these fantasy worlds. And I'm thinking, ooh, maybe not the dresses necessarily. I do think there's a lot of beautiful dresses, but I just don't wear them. But it's like I find myself almost fantasizing about being in the show, being one of the characters, having it would be so cool to have one of those big parties. But then, from what we've learned and all the work that we've done, that would not make me happy. But I still can't help but being drawn to these shows because it's like I'm escaping to be a part of it. So I'm getting my own dopamine hit just by watching it. I wanted to know how you guys all felt.
Well, Grey's Anatomy. I mean, how many, it's been a year. I'm still watching it. I'm addicted to it.
Yeah.
Like it's old and I'm still like, let's go every day.
Yeah. I just don't get it.
But it's my escape.
I know you love it. You love it.
And I love it. And I'm going through a really hard time right now. And that's okay. Like I've given myself permission to do that. But I think there's also the flip side of that of like escaping to escape life. Right. And that is probably not a great thing.
Well, I have seen some research in terms of like rewatching things, that it's actually very calming to your nervous system because I
read that as well.
Even if you don't remember exactly what happens, like some level of you is like, oh yeah, okay. So it's somewhat predictable. And yeah, I think, this is a whole other conversation in that right now we can't even keep up with how much there is to watch. Like it's drinking out of a fire hose in terms of content. Before we had to, wait till the next week. And like, maybe you could tape it and watch it a little later, but it's it is overwhelming how many shows that you can And so there's also, even though we just publicly, like Netflix, the company uses the term binge, like as something to give you an idea, like binge worthy, like all these new terms that we're just normalizing watching 9 hours of television on a Sunday. I don't know. There's like
self-care.
multiple layers of problems with
Self-care.
We need that escape.
Multiple.
In a healthy way.
I will say, Tamar, when you were talking about like the fancy clothes or whatever, it reminded me of how when I was in like my early 20s, I went through this phase where I was like buying these designer shoes. I worked at Nordstrom and I was like, on this dopamine high. And now I'm trying to like get rid of them and sell them, but I've spent all this money on them. And I know deep down. So when I see them wearing them in the show, I'm like, you know what? They can wear them. I can watch them wear them. That's fun. But I know deep down, like that is not going to make me happy because they were never comfortable to begin with. And they never really made me happy.
I don't know. A Birkin bag might make me a little happy and it'll always stay.
I don't do escapism. For me, it's more like, oh, my life isn't that bad. It's like more this reassurance of like, whoa, it could be way more complicated than.
That is so true.
Less stuff is simpler.
Yeah. Well, see, and Megan, you're a living example that you can still participate in these discussions and not actually watch the show. Although this one you did watch.
This one I did watch.
Yes. Yeah.
There was a really sweet moment that I liked when John Hamm goes to his ex-wife's birthday party, who's been thrown by the boyfriend, and she was really clear on what she didn't want, and he didn't listen to her.
Right.
And story ensued, but then he showed up with a bag of like fireballs, which was like her favorite candy. And you could tell that bag of $5 fireballs meant more to her than everything else. And so it like made me realize that what they had at some point was pure, was good. It just, like many things, it just got lost along the way.
It got lost because he's an addict, right? He was a workaholic. He's never home. He's never present. Like that.
Well, I think like, to be fair I think both people can get sort of in their lives in that world. I mean, any world, but like you get in this role and you're like, you're more concerned about the tennis date with your friends. And it's just like this kind of spiral is not the right, but you just kind of don't do your life consciously and you get pulled along and, it doesn't take much to get disconnected with someone, even when it was like, there was not really a catalyst major thing. In this case, there is, but yeah.
I thought I was having that conversation with my partner about, because you don't really see like what happened with them in their relationship. You just see that they're separated. He's living in a rental and it's from his perspective. And when we were talking about it, he was like, well, I don't understand why she just left him. Like, that sounds terrible. And I'm like, well, you have to see it from her perspective. This doesn't happen in a vacuum. This stuff happens far before that, when he's like addicted to work, like you were saying, Lane, and not paying attention and not prioritizing the relationship and prioritizing getting that bigger house, getting that car, making the money. And that was probably what caused the demise of the relationship.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's doing a good job.
Right.
So he thinks he's noble, right? As the provider.
Yeah. It's normalized. Again, it's normalized. That's what we've done to addiction. We've normalized it.
Can we talk about the pawn shop mob boss lady?
She loved her.
Loved her. I just want to say, loved her. Yeah. I could take a spinoff show with her. Bring it to me.
It was a badass.
Be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, she could be the next Better Call Saul.
Totally that.
Yeah, for real.
All right. Yeah. Well, as we start to wind this down, I'm going to need to know what each of you give a Sobies rating on this on a scale of 1 to 5. Reminder, 5 means it's literally the best thing you've ever watched. It should win an Oscar, an Emmys, a Golden Globe, something. 1 is like, don't bother even walking by your TV, kind of that. All right.
I'll give it a 4.
Megan's giving it a 4.
I'll second that.
You got a second 4?
I give it a 4.5.
Oh, 4.5.
Me too.
All right. Now we got some people scoring like Amy Liz Harrison, just giving stars to everybody.
I'm going to go 4.75.
Oh, Lane's almost sliding into a perfect score, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, John Hamm.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what bumped it up, isn't it? You can admit it.
Yeah, I was going to do a 4.
Yeah, I was going to do a 4. It was good. It was good. All right. Well, let me pull out the tchotchke of the week. Somebody gifted this to me several months ago. And I finally had a weekend where I was like, it's time to put together some Lego kits. So that's how I spent my weekend. Very exciting. But because we're talking about movies and we all know I love the Goonies, here is my little tiny sloth. Let me see. Oh, can we see him? I don't know. There.
That's cute.
And then he came with the little tiny piano. And another piano. Like, I don't know if these go together. I'm not really sure, but that's what I've got. Those are my tchotchkes for the week.
Cute.
That is cute.
Okay, a couple quick questions as we wrap down. I'm going to ask each one of you a question. Here we go. Megan, what's the perfect sober sip for binge watching this show?
Oh, so hard. I don't know. Let's go with Wild Folk. I did a review on that. They're great.
Okay. All right. Carolyn, would you rather see this with friends on premiere night or cozied up solo with a blanket and snacks? Or in your case?
I'm all about a blanket and snacks.
Okay. This is to both the Sarahs. What are you eating and drinking while you're watching this? Is this a Diet Coke and popcorn? Is this a charcuterie board? Like, what are you snacking when you're watching this show? Is it a bag of Fireballs?
Go ahead, Sarah.
Sorry, I've got a kid right here. My current emotional support snack is hot tamales. They're in every drawer of my house right now. It's a little addictive.
Emotional support snacks. We should do a whole article on that or an episode. That could be good. That could be definitely
That's almost
good.
like Fireball.
Oh, yeah.
Adding it to the list.
I love
Add
hot
it to the
tamales.
list.
Oh,
Lane, do you think the characters serve more Hollywood insider chic or suburban chaos couture?
The first.
In this episode, we're diving into Friends and Neighbors, a mix of comedy, chaos, and suburban secrets. We'll unpack the drama, the laughs, and yes, those cringe-worthy moments that feel just a little too familiar. So grab your mocktail, settle in, and let's see if this one deserves a binge or a hard pass. And that's all the time we have for today's Sober Pop Culture Review. Friends and Neighbors might just remind us that no matter how wild things get, at least we're not the ones hosting that dinner party. Thanks for tuning in, because let's be real, we're way more fun than your ex's drunk texts.
If you laughed, learned, or just need more of our voices in your life, honestly, I mean, who wouldn't? Hit that subscribe button, leave us a review, and send this episode to your sober or your I swear I'm only drinking on the weekends besties.
And if you have a story, feedback, or hey, maybe you just want to slide into our DMs like it's 2012, well, you know we're here for it. Find more curated magic at thesobercurator.com. And remember, getting sober matters, staying sober matters more. Until next time, keep it real, keep it fun, and keep it sober.